Time to stop the chaos.
Whoa, 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 whoa.
Time to stop the chaos now.
Ba-dum.
On Fundraising HayDay, we talk a lot about how grant seeking gets more complex every year. Make 2023 the year you finally get a system to track grant deadlines and information.
It's time to stop the chaos with Grant Holster. It was developed for grant professionals by grant professionals, which makes all the difference.
The first month is always free. And Grant Holster is giving our listeners a 25% discount on the entire first year of your subscription. Just enter HayDay, all one word, HayDay, as your coupon at checkout, and you'll get that amazing discount.
And they have a hands-on demo at grantholster.com that lets you explore the platform on your own. But if you want someone to walk you through it, they also have folks that can do that.
So if you've been struggling with spreadsheets, clunky applications with a million workarounds, or just keeping your deadlines on sticky notes, head over to grantholster.com and take a look.
And remember to enter the coupon code HayDay at checkout to get your 25% discount for a full year.
And stop the chaos.
Whoa, whoa, whoa.
Well, hello there. I'm Kimberly HayDay,
And I'm Amanda Day.
and you're listening to
Fundraising HayDay podcast.
We're here to help you make sense of the complex world of grant writing and fundraising, including the how-tos, but also the whys. We're really big on the whys.
We are. And new episodes drop typically every 2 weeks and sometimes include cheesy sound effects and songs because that's how we roll.
And we're not sorry about it.
Not at all.
This podcast is brought to you by our Season 6 sponsor, D.H. Leonard Consulting and Grant Writing Services. Their team can help make grants less stressful by assisting you with grant readiness and training, grant research, grant writing, mock review, as well as providing numerous DIY resources, guides, and templates. Don't let grants stress you out. Did you know that with every Fundraising HayDay episode, we create a coordinating blog post on their website, dhleonardconsulting.com. Check it out today.
So I'm not sure how it's already November. It's time to start thinking about finishing the year strong, setting goals for 2024, and all that good stuff. And speaking of goals, if you are an organization that is looking to improve the grant skills of your grant team, Kimberly and I are currently booking speaking and training engagements for 2024 and 2025. So if you're a nonprofit, a local government, or an agency with a grant team that needs that coaching or education, that's what we do.
Yep.
And if you're putting on a conference or an event and you're looking for an in-person or virtual keynote speaker about fundraising, grants, and the world of philanthropy, that's what we do.
That's what we do. How about that?
Or if you're a large organization who serves a group of members, say you're a large or even a small United Way, a state municipal association, maybe a regional planning organization, a huge food bank with a conglomerate of members, whatever you are, if you've got members who are begging for grant training, that is what we do.
That's what we do.
Yeah. And the best part is we don't show up with cookie cutter training. We tailor things based on the type and size of your organization and the grant and fundraising needs of your organization. So that sounds good to you. You can reach out to us at hello@haydayservices.com.
Hello.
Let's talk about how we can bring the Fundraising HayDay podcast directly to you.
And if you're wondering, gosh, what is their training style like? Hi, give us a listen. What you see or hear, it's what you get.
Mm-hmm.
It's what you get.
Absolutely. So I am really proud to say that November 2023 marks 5 whole years since season 1 of the Fundraising HayDay podcast launched. And for nearly a year, Kimberly and I kept the dream of this podcast to ourselves because we were trying to figure all the things out before we told anybody, right?
No idea.
No idea. Sometimes.
So the big reveal for this actually came in Chicago in 2018 at what was then called the annual GPA conference, now known as the Grant Summit.
Yes. So we are still podcasting. We talked about pie a lot that first season.
We did.
We don't talk about pie as much. Maybe we need more pie in our lives.
Well, there is the new season of the Great British Bake Off to consider. And there's going to be pie and cake involved. And then some of those weird things in aspic because that's what they do in England.
We digress. So today we want to celebrate 5 years and say thank you to our listeners and thank you to our sponsors. And so we're going to do that by sharing some stories and testimonies of all of the people. So let's
jump in and do this. And these were people that we did not coerce. We simply asked these, and I just found that so amazing. So we just wanted to thank you. Thank you for being so supportive, and thank you for sharing your time with us, because we're all busy.
We are.
We get it.
Yep. So first up, we want to start by saying thank you to our sponsors who made the podcast possible. Because of both the season and the ad sponsors, we're able to pay for all of our production. So, our sound editor, shout out to Ryan Bishop, who's amazing and has been with us since day one, our podcast platform, and just all the things. So big thank you to Diane Leonard with DH Leonard Consulting and Grant Writing Services. They have been our season sponsor since season 2. So
there was season 2 through season 6, and that was an amazing ride. We just sort of grew up together in that podcast realm. So
absolutely.
Thank you.
So thanks to Diane and her team. We're forever grateful. Also, big shout out, season 6 ad sponsor, Dana Schuler Drummond and her team at Grant Holster. They are this season's ad sponsor and have been amazing. And they're giving you a lovely discount to purchase Grant Holster. So use the code HayDay and you get, I forget what the percentage she gives on.
It's lovely.
It's a great deal. I should know this, but I'm going to call it brain fog, whatever's going on today. So let's talk about why Diane had stuck with us for as long as she did. We're going to let her tell you.
Hi, I'm Diane Leonard, president and owner of DH Leonard Consulting, and a very proud sponsor and supporter of the awesome Fundraising HayDay podcast. We have been supporting the podcast for, 5 seasons, but a fan since day one. I'll admit it, I'm biased. I've known Amanda Day and Kimberly Hayes DeMuga for years, and they've cracked me up in person for years. So the fact that they could bring their humor and their unique style to a podcast and still make us laugh, make us learn, I'm a huge fan. Podcasting is not for everyone in terms of being on the other side of the mic, making the information feel accessible and relevant to those listeners. And, one of my favorite takeaways, in addition to all the great grants knowledge, is definitely my increased usage of the word y'all and some good conversations about pie. How can you go wrong when you mix those things with grants? So as I said, the team here at DH Leonard Consulting and Grant Writing Services has been so proud to be a proud supporter and is looking forward to being both a continued supporter and also a listener of Fundraising HayDay podcast for, however long Kimberly and Amanda are willing to make us laugh and learn at the same time as it relates to grants and fundraising.
I just love that. We're a huge fan of you too, Diane, and so incredibly grateful. I feel like that deal was first struck over a meal at South City Kitchen, and I think
fried green tomatoes were involved.
Yeah, they were, and I feel like some black-eyed peas and barbecue lentils, because that's how I roll. But I'm just saying, it was a long time ago, and I still remember it, and I remember how thrilled we were that she was like, "Y'all want to do this thing?" Although she did not say y'all, but that's okay.
She does now.
She does now. She said, "Y'all want to do this? Let's do this together." So forever grateful.
Yep.
And we love to hear from our listeners. Y'all have been wonderful about leaving reviews on Apple Podcasts and other such things. In fact, if you haven't had a chance to do that and you really want to support the podcast, that is such an easy way to do that. If you listen on Apple Podcasts, just go on and leave us a review. We love to hear it. And the whole reason we actually started Fundraising HayDay was to share our knowledge, insights, frustrations, and more with experienced grant professionals. And it does our heart good. Like, I have a little Grinch heart, and it just grew bing, 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 over the years because we were reaching our people.
Yes, because y'all are our people.
So Mickey Keller, grants administrator for New Hampshire Department of Health and Human Services, so very kindly shared with us how she uses the podcast within her own state organization. So, if you thought us singing cheesy 90s songs could never work outside the podcast apparently we're going over big in New Hampshire. I'm just saying, who knew? But we just want her to tell you in her own words what she gets out of the podcast, because we know what we get out of her is just an amazing feeling that we've made a connection.
Hi, my name is Mickey Kelleher. I'm the Grants Administrator for the State of New Hampshire's Department of Health and Human Services. 4 years ago, I was brand new to the grants profession. In my effort to find mentors and learn more about grant compliance and how to implement this policy throughout our agency, I ran into Fundraising HayDay online. Listening to all of the wonderful podcasts put me in touch with some other grant professionals from whom I've learned lots of great things. I've put together an entire program here at the Department of Health and Human Services, and we now have much more compliance through uniform guidance than we had ever before. One of my absolute favorite memories of these ladies was at the GPA conference last year. I totally fangirled meeting them for the first time, which was absolutely fantastic. I can't tell you how much I have learned from their podcasts. I send out a weekly grant tip, and very often I send out one of their podcasts along with their related blog to show the folks that we work with what's going on in other areas, what nonprofits are doing. We deal with lots of community partners. We also take a look at some of those things like burnout. We experience that in an agency the size of ours quite often. So it's always nice to hear what's going on and what other people are using for strategies. But I can tell you, our program would not be as mature as it is today if we did not have the guidance of Fundraising HayDay and now HayDay Services. The wealth of information that's provided in sometimes a 30-minute to a 60-minute podcast is invaluable. This information is free. I've paid for lots of training that I haven't gotten as much information out of as I have for these ladies. So I want to thank you from the bottom of my heart. I would not be where I am without you guys today. Thanks so much.
We both so loved meeting Mickey at the Grant Professional Association conference last year. And yeah, like Kimberly says, it does our hearts so much good to know that it's helping large organizations. And so that's what we're all about. So we can certainly look at the number of downloads, but that is nothing compared to hearing directly from a listener. And so that's what we love best. Speaking of someone who is very kind to share with us what she thinks about the show, and someone who has an amazing grant career, we couldn't do this episode without a few words from our dear friend, Deronda Harrison. Kimberly and I have known Deronda for
At least 10 years.
And we kind of all started,
we met her when she was a teenager. She's a grant prodigy.
Yes, definitely. So back when we were all, starting out, getting going, trying to figure out our field, and have seen her go from working with the federal government to nonprofits. And now she has her own consulting agency, June 1st Firm.
Absolutely.
That is just killing it. They're writing grants, they're coaching people, they're doing training, all the things. And so we had to ask Deronda to share a few words because she was kind too. So let's have a word from her.
Hey, it's Deronda here, and I'm here to tell you all the great things that are happening over at Fundraising HayDay. Check it out. My friends Amanda Day and Kimberly Hayes Denuga are the grant writing experts with 50 years between the two of them. They hit the tough topics. They tell funders what they need to do better. And they even talk about what we can do better as grant professionals and some of the challenge and the pitfalls and things that we face and some of the things that are successes. They share their successes as well. So they both have their unique experiences between the two of them. As far as I'm concerned, Fundraising HayDay is the only grant writing podcast. It's fun and it is exciting as well. They cover a gamut of all topics related to grant writing. There's a ton of fundraising podcasts out there, but this one is specifically for grant writers. Some of their really great topics are hiring grant consultant versus in-house staff. They talk about the pros and cons to each in a non-biased way. So it's a great podcast. You got to check it out. It's so good. Talk to you later. Bye.
And so as if we couldn't love Deronda more, she goes and says such beautiful things about us. And no money was changing hands, y'all. Get your mind out of that corruption gutter. Yes. That's not how this is played. But Deronda did guest on season 6 and just provided an amazing talk, wide-ranging talk about the grant profession and actually knowing your own worth, whether you're an employee or a consultant. So thanks, Deronda. We really appreciate you. Next up, we have a secret guest who so kindly offered to come to us incognito. If you attend or have attended GPA conferences, now known as grant summits,
Yes.
chances are you know this masked hero. She's going to share with us how a podcast episode saved the day, which I just...
We're like superheroes. It makes me want, if you're watching us in podcast YouTube land, it makes me want to don my Wonder Woman bracelets.
But first...
Yes, but first let's hear from our masked hero, right?
And don't we want to also maybe go a little incognito to help her out? Hold, please.
Next up, the masked grant professional.
Hello, fellow listeners. I am a grant professional in the American Midwest and a longtime fan of Fundraising HayDay. I am concealing my identity because of the sensitive nature of the testimonial I am about to provide. I recently started a new job, and I can credit Fundraising HayDay for helping me out of a work-related predicament. I had to apply an indirect cost rate to a state grant budget and wasn't sure how to do it because my previous organization had never claimed indirect costs. But then I remembered there had recently been a podcast episode on this very subject. So I listened to it again and heard the magic words, modified total direct costs. I followed that up with a little Googling, and suddenly I sounded as if I knew what I was talking about. So, thank you, Amanda and Kimberly, and your informative guests. For the most part, though, I listen to the podcast because it's fun. I like the interplay between the hosts and their deep knowledge of grantsmanship. These gals are who I want to be when I grow up, even though I know for a fact that I am older than at least one of them. Keep on doing what you're doing, ladies.
Oh my gosh. I just loved our mask hero.
Right.
I love that she had us bring out our masks again. So this reminds me of when we recorded our 100th episode, which was earlier this year, right?
I just can't look directly at you. Go ahead. Go ahead.
So for those of you who are listening to the podcast and not watching us on YouTube, you're maybe missing out a little on that last testimonial, as well as Kimberly and I reprising our masked
For our 100th celebration.
Yes.
Cheesy good fun, y'all. That's what it's all about.
Yes.
That's what it's all
That's
about.
why we're here. So we are going to wrap our 5-year celebration, and I'm going to take my mask off.
It's hot.
It's hot. We are going to wrap our 5-year celebration with a listener that I got to know through the Fundraising HayDay Facebook community. So if you're not already a member, I really encourage you to join us there. We share grant and grammar jokes and humor. We celebrate our successes every week, whether it's, I made it through the week, or we just got this big grant, or got to hire a new employee. It doesn't matter what it is, but we love to celebrate success of other grant professionals. People post questions and people jump in and help them. It's just a beautiful, fun, lovely place. So if you're not already there, if you happen to be a Facebook member, come on over, join us, check it out. Tons of fun. At least I think so. But it was through chatting with some of our listeners on Facebook that I got to know Allison Harrison. And it turns out she and I have a mutual non-grant friend in common. We've lived some of the same places. I'm an Army brat, and she's married to a man in the Army. I know, just all these things are lining up. So you just never know what you're going to have in common with someone until you start chatting with them. So Allison kindly shared how she discovered the Fundraising HayDay podcast during the pandemic, and how she continues to use it today to make her life a little easier. So let's hear from Allison.
Hello, my name is Allison Harrison. I am the in-house grant writer for the United Methodist Youth Home in Evansville, Indiana. I have been writing grants for about 7 years and been at the youth home for about 7 years. So I discovered the Fundraising HayDay podcast at the end of 2020 or early 2021. I'm not sure which it was, as I, like many people, was working from home under stressful conditions. I also had a very young child at home and no ability for daycare to speak of. So, working, momming, trying to get some professional development in, and I was looking for a podcast I could listen to that wasn't going to put me to sleep. So I discovered Fundraising HayDay, and it just checked all the boxes. I'm also a former camp counselor, so I love sound effects and songs, and I love that Amanda and Kimberly bring that sort of fun element to it. Professional development doesn't have to be boring, and there is certainly not a single boring episode of Fundraising HayDay podcast, and I just love it. I love that they talk about things that are relevant to the profession, like burnout and sustainability, how to read RFPs, and that they will talk through any sort of new legislation that's gone on, like the bipartisan infrastructure law, and sort of explain it in ways that are accessible. Of course, I also really love the Ripped from the Headlines episodes every year. And I'm also a big reader, so I love the book recommendations. And every time I get an email from the Fundraising HayDay podcast, it's got their book recommendations. I'm like, ooh, have I read that one yet? Or ooh, let's add that to the list. So thanks, guys, for making professional development fun and interesting, and also for adding to my never-ending to-be-read list. Keep it up.
Okay. I'm like so very glad that she loves her book recommendations.
Yes.
This reminds me, in 2020, where are we now? We're in 2023. So 2022, at the Grants Conference, someone mentioned a book that I love called Mexican Gothic, and Amanda loves too.
Yeah.
Because we recommended it. And it was like, oh, and it wasn't, I mean, it was more like, oh, we recognize you. A book lover recognizes another book lover, and it was just an amazing moment.
Yes.
So if you're like Allison and enjoy good book recommendations, have we got a book club for you? So starting in January of 2024, Amanda and I are going to be co-hosting a monthly book club. It's going to be alternating fiction and nonfiction. We have a great lineup already started for the first quarter, and we wanted to find a way to continue building community in a way that would feel really direct and authentic, and a way that could allow us to continue to offer all the podcast content for free. We do get our production costs covered, but we don't get our research and interview time covered, and we really want to keep doing this. And so instead of maybe a behind a paywall, we just wanted to start a book club.
Yep.
They've got monthly, 6-month, and annual memberships. You can find out all about it on our website, haydayservices.com. And y'all, it's going to be a book club where we talk about the books, because that is the only kind of book club that I'm interested in.
She's not kidding.
I'm not kidding. I'm not kidding.
Yep. So we're big believers that readers make better writers. So what better way to support grant professionals and our listeners and the podcast by joining a fantastic book club, right? So I would love to get the opportunity to know some of our, or all of our listeners better. So come on. And I hope you can join us in 2024 for the book club.
So again, you can sign up for the book club at HayDay Services, HayDay services.com. And special thanks to Allison for bringing books to the discussion. So really, that just about sums up for us the wonderful community feeling that we have, I hope, given and certainly received over the last 5 years of putting this podcast out here. And we just want to keep going. There's so much to talk about. There's so much to rant about. There's so many cool people to talk to.
Yes.
We just want to be there for it. And we want you to come along with us. And so we can all learn together. And so from the bottom of our hearts, especially my little Grinch heart, heart that just grew. Thank you. Thank you for listening.
Yep. Whether you've been here with us since season 1 or you just recently found us, thank you. You're the reason we have 5 years of memories and so many kind words to share. So thank you, Diane, Mickey, Deronda, Allison, and our mystery guest for joining the show today, as well as our Dana, our sponsor. So thanks for everybody being here. Y'all totally made this episode for me.
It's true. As always, we are so glad that you chose to listen to the Fundraising HayDay podcast. Whether you've just been with us for one episode, we don't generally don masks for episodes, just to let you know in case you missed that part. But some, I mean, I'm not going to rule it out. If you want to learn more about that HayDay stuff, please visit our website, haydayservices.com. You can sign up for our newsletter, HayDay Hot Takes, comes out every week, and they're book recommendations.
Yes,
And it's an easy, quick read, and we just really love hearing back from our readers and listeners. And as we talk about our upcoming events, training, more book recommendations, trends, and grants, and all sorts of such. It will come into your inbox if you sign up every Friday morning. Thank you again to our Season 6 sponsor, D.H. Leonard Consulting and Grant Writing Services. We appreciate their support in making grants less stressful. Visit their website, dhleonardconsulting.com, to download their latest resources today.
We're honored you chose to spend time with us today. Be sure to join us in 3 weeks. It's our final episode of Season 6.
It's our final episode. Okay, so
it had to happen.
I'm not
we are sticking with our traditional top 10 list to round out the season.
Oh, yeah.
But we're going to kind of continuing with the 5-year celebration by sharing our top 10 favorite episodes of all time. So,
and it's our top 10, completely subjective.
Yes.
And we understand if there were other episodes that you might have liked better, but we were just choosing the ones that meant so much to us.
Yes,
Over the years.
Yeah. So come on and take a walk down memory lane with us. Bye, y'all.
Bye.